Join Carol Davies on Global Voice Radio, the host of Only the Best for You. Be a change maker and unlock the secret to your best life.
Hello, everyone. My name is Carol Davies. Welcome to my weekly podcast called Only the Best for You here on Global Voice Radio. Each week I bring you topics about being a change maker in the world and in your own life. Starting change is as easy as changing something in yourself that you really want to change. For example, to become a better person, to learn a new skill, to help others. The list is endless. Gandhi said it best, be the change you wish to see in the world. It feels appropriate today to talk about how we can take our lives in hand for success. This week we have episode 48 with all sorts of tips and suggestions about goals. The title of the podcast this week is Hopes and Dreams. I'm on my way, part 1. The end of 2018 is here, and the beginning of a new year, 2019, is on the doorstep. It's natural to think about what we have accomplished this year and what we hope to achieve next year. One way to do this is to examine and formulate our goals. To me, goals are all about hopes and dreams. But using goals is a way to make things concrete and able to happen. And I'll examine this in more depth as I go along in today's podcast. I like this saying, today is the blueprint of my tomorrow. Every day, I live aware of the fact that I am designing a better future for myself and for the generations to come. I work hard so that my children and their children can have a brighter tomorrow. How I spend today reflects how I will spend tomorrow. Therefore, any changes I want to see in my life must begin today. Positive change begins when I take my dreams seriously and launch into action. No matter how far I've come, I continue to better myself knowing that the sky is not the limit, but rather the beginning of a new level. I make changes today because I want to see myself living in a future free from regret. I devote time each day to things of eternal value, and I choose to be an active participant in my life. In turn, I seize every opportunity to learn new skills and improve myself. My values and priorities are evident by the way I carry myself each day. Recognizing that my future is not an isolated event, but a collection of individual days, I resolve to make each day count. I am careful to form new habits that only bring me closer to the dream I have for my future. So in order to be productive, I am eliminating negative behaviors from my daily routine. So instead of waiting around for something great to happen, I am actively pursuing greatness in the sometimes mundane tasks of the day-to-day. So today, I begin new positive behaviors to reshape my future. Here are 3 questions you can ask yourself to use a bit of self-reflection to guide you. 1, where will today's actions lead me 5 years from now? 2, where do I want to be in 5 years? 3, what do I need to change in my daily life to achieve my 5-year plan? Now, if this is too big a time scope for you to reflect upon, you could change the amount of time to a month, 6 months, a year, whatever you like. It all revolves, though, around goal setting your goals. And it can be tricky if you aren't aware of the guidelines for success. I suggest you use the following model to guide you in setting your goals. Well-formulated goals are a key element of success, and when they're worded properly, they can be powerful in their influence on your ability to make positive changes. There are 5 components in a well-formulated goal. First one is small. Small goals are, by definition, feasible. They can be accomplished within the next week or so. Large goals are understandable, but cannot be achieved in the immediate time frame. To accomplish a set of small goals 1 or 2 weeks at a time is much better than to be defeated by a grandiose goal, no matter how worthwhile it may be. The second main component is measurable. When goals are worded vaguely, we do not know when we reach them. When goals are concrete, it's obvious when they are achieved. For example, if you have a goal to be happy, reframe that into smiling more. People know when they are smiling, and so do family members and other people around them. Being happy is much harder to define. The third component is to be positively worded. When goals are worded in the negative, such as the stopping of something, I will stop arguing with my sister, the goal itself reorients you to the problem behavior. On the other hand, if the goal is positively worded, like, I'll keep my voice down when I disagree with my sister, it has a strong positive influence on behavior. The fourth component for a well-formulated goal is that it is chosen by the person who is working on the goal. Well-thought-out goals are chosen by the person involved, not a family member, co-worker, or helper. Many people have well-meaning family members, friends, and authority figures telling them what they need to do. It's difficult to maintain self-respect and control of your change process when that happens. If someone tries to choose goals for you, kindly tell them that you appreciate their help, but will decide on your goals when you are ready. And the fifth component is it may take hard work. Making changes, even small ones, are difficult. By reminding yourself that it will take hard work to achieve your goals, you are being realistic. This will help prevent feeling like a failure if it takes a long time to accomplish the goal. Also, comparatively few people have tangible goals. Most have the awareness that things could be improved, but only vague ideas about how to achieve these improvements. Often, people are reactive to situations in their life or business as opposed to being proactive. Now, all tasks are either reactive or proactive. For example, in the business world, if you have reactive work, it encompasses such things as handling daily routines, dealing with urgent tasks, resolving crises, handling interruption. On the other hand, proactive work covers such things as developing the business, focusing on key tasks, achieving deadlines and targets, managing projects. And as I said, all tasks are either reactive or proactive. Reactive tasks are when you react to situations that occur and are driven by events and the actions of other people. On the other hand, proactive tasks are when you seek opportunities to make a positive impact in the workplace and are driven by you. For example, to be an effective manager, it is far more beneficial in the long term to be proactive. Behaving proactively revolves around anticipating events and using initiative to predict the likely outcome, while being able to respond and take the appropriate action when needed. So to say it in another way, proactive work makes things happen. Reactive work gets things done. Those who gain recognition and promotion in organizations are usually those who are proactive. They are those who use their initiative to make things happen. In order to be truly proactive, however, there are two things that need to be addressed. The first is that a certain amount of time needs to be freed up from handling routine tasks, resolving crises, and handling interruptions. The second is that you need to be able to set goals that will inspire you and your team to make things happen. Setting goals that motivate people is not easy and requires effort and good judgment. Many people confuse goal setting with wishful thinking, and you can see examples of this in organizational and departmental mission statements that are usually so vague as to be virtually meaningless. Some examples taken from Fortune 500 companies include: to achieve profitable growth through superior customer service, innovation, quality, and commitment. Or to combine aggressive strategic marketing with quality products and services at competitive prices to provide the best value for consumers. Or be the best in the eyes of our customers, employees, and shareholders. Now, the mission statements that I just mentioned are quite typical, and while there's nothing wrong with them per se, they seldom inspire anyone to do anything specific to help achieve them, because there's really nothing specific there to work with. So if a goal is to be motivational, then it must have an objective that is clear and well specified in what should be achieved. It must identify exactly what needs to be done and in what time frame. It must also define a clear outcome that is measurable and can be assessed. Well, there are three commonly used methods of setting goals. The first is called the 4CF method. The next is the SMART, S-M-A-R-T method. And the other one is the backwards goal setting method. I'm going to talk about the 4CF method today, and the other two methods in my next podcast. It's just far too much material to cover in one session. As far as setting goals for your team as a whole, you will usually be expected to set targets for each team member as well as their annual appraisal process. How successful you are in doing this will have a big influence on not only their productivity, but also how they perceive you as a manager. If you set goals that are unambiguous and measurable, then most people will rise to the challenge, or at least strive to achieve them to the best of their ability. On the other hand, nothing destroys morale faster than not knowing what you're expected to achieve or how your efforts would be measured. Now, I just mentioned the 4CF method for goals. So what is this? The acronym stands for clarity, challenge, complexity, commitment, and feedback. I'm referring now to the work of Dr. Edwin Locke and Dr. Gary Latham in the 1960s, who stated that there are 5 fundamental principles for setting effective goals. They also said that the extent to which these principles existed within the goal related directly to the achievement of that goal. You start with clarity, then proceed to challenge, then complexity, then commitment, and finally feedback. So if you choose to use this method to help you set your goals, then you will need to consider each principle in turn. Now here's what we mean by clarity. To help understand what you wish to achieve at this stage, it's useful to look at the definition of the word clarity. It is clearness or lucidity as to perception or understanding. It is freedom from indistinctness or ambiguity. Your goal should state concisely exactly what you want to achieve. There should be no room for ambiguity. It also needs to specify a finite period in which you can accomplish this goal. By stating clearly what your goal is, you are motivated to fulfill it and can easily identify the reward you gain with its completion. There is no disillusion or disappointment because you know exactly what is required. There can be no misunderstanding as your goal is easy to measure. To demonstrate the importance of having a specific goal, here are some examples of goals that lack clarity, with an example of how to alter them to ensure that they are clear and easy to understand. An unclear goal would be improve quality of sales orders. A restatement of this as a clear goal could be ensure 95% of sales orders are completed first time to gain maximum commission. Now another unclear goal, increase the number of sales of product X. Now here's a clear restatement of the goal. 20% of this month's orders have to include product X for the extra bonus to be awarded. So if you look at the difference between an unclear goal and a clear goal, you will see that it does require some time and effort to make a clear goal, because you really have to be succinct and very clear in what you want to have accomplished. Now that you have a clear goal established, the next principle is challenge. It's important to have your clear goal to be challenging. A challenge can be defined as a call or summons to engage in any contest as of skill, strength. The greater reward we will gain on attaining our goal, the more we are motivated to do so. This motivation becomes larger the more the goal is perceived to be challenging, allowing a greater sense of accomplishment once you have achieved the goal. Well, the goal needs to be challenging. It must also be a goal that you have enough confidence that you can achieve. If the challenge is seen as too great, then there will be a negative effect on your willingness to work towards the goal. And in some cases, you may not even try. Any reward offered needs to be appropriate for the task and exceed your normal expectations. Setting a goal that has the right degree of challenge is an essential skill for ensuring all your team members are motivated. With the correct reward being offered to a member of staff on completion of a goal, other team members will also become motivated to gain this reward too. For example, consider the following goal. Ensure that 95% of sales orders are completed first time to gain maximum commission. This would be reasonably challenging if the current rate of orders completed were 75%, with the reason most of the failures being incomplete data due to incorrect collecting and transcribing on the part of the salesperson. But if instead the goal 20% of this month's orders must include product X for the extra bonus to be awarded, is set in an environment where product X normally accounts for 5% of all sales, then this goal could be impossible. This goal would have a negative effect on motivation rather than a positive one. It could also reflect a poor understanding of product sales and the proportions of each in the overall sales figures. This illustrates the importance of having enough knowledge of the subject area when setting your own and others' goals. Now, once we have dealt with the challenge, the next principle that comes up is complexity. One definition of the word complex is composed of many interconnected parts. A goal can comprise any number of interconnected parts if they form a coherent whole, which can be sensibly viewed as a single unit in its broadest terms. The problem comes when a goal is too complex and a team member becomes confused about how best to achieve the goal. These feelings then result in poor motivation, and often people resist and can even obstruct attaining the goal. The greater the degree of stress that results because of these feelings, the less likely it is that the individual will fulfill their goal. This increased complexity can often be a result of unforeseen circumstances that come to light while working to achieve the goal. To achieve these problems, communication between the person who set the original goal and the one who needs to attain the goal is essential. This is especially true in more technical roles. For example, this could be true of the goal 20% of this month's orders have to include product X for the extra bonus to be awarded, where due to the technical nature of product X, only 10% of all existing customers have systems capable of using it. This would make the goal unattainable. Also, if the price of this product requires a decision beyond what you can decide in 80% of the sales, then it could mean that the time frame you set is not realistic. Now, the next principle is commitment. Before anyone commits himself or herself to a goal, they will probably want to see evidence that there are enough resources available. Without these resources, they will not be able to achieve the desired goal, and this is an essential element in gaining commitment. The most productive way in which to obtain commitment to a goal is to actively involve the team member or members in the goal-setting process. By sharing your knowledge during this process, the goal is likely to be clearer, be sufficiently challenging, and have an appropriate level of complexity. One of the most effective ways management gain commitment from their staff is through the annual appraisal system, where goals are discussed and agreed. As part of this exercise, the goal set will adhere to established expectations and rewards that can be offered. For example, if you are the new manager of a sales team, and from your investigations, you know that the quality of order taking is poor due to lack of detail, you can decide to set a goal to ensure 95% of sales orders are completed first time to gain maximum commission. You can discuss this at your next team meeting and gain everyone's acceptance to commit to this goal. It will make things clearer and motivate people to take perhaps more care. And finally, we have feedback. Once you have set a goal and delegated the task, it is vital that you not only monitor progress, but also provide regular feedback to the team members. This is particularly important in the first few days because team members often feel uncomfortable asking for guidance once they have been delegated the task, if it will reflect badly on them if they just don't, quotes, get on with it. This can cause unnecessary anxiety if, as is often the case, they are unsure how exactly to proceed once they examine the task in detail. This usually happens when it becomes clear that there are several options available or when they become aware of an unforeseen problem. Team members must have the opportunity to give you regular updates on their progress and have the chance to inform you of any unplanned obstacles that may have arisen, which need to be addressed. The trick is to ask for and provide feedback without being viewed as interfering unnecessarily or showing any impatience if the team member or members are confused by something that you think should be clear. It is also important that feedback is given while there is still time to act upon it. Feedback is a major contributor to motivation and empowers people by enabling them to build upon their successes. It also allows them to know that their efforts are appreciated. This should improve their performance and enable them to keep their problems and concerns in perspective. So, just to reiterate, a goal should motivate, reduce stress, empower, and aid success. And all of this is due to feedback. So I've outlined quite a few principles here that you may like to take time to reflect on. And next week, I'm going to be talking more about goal setting, the SMART, S-M-A-R-T method, and the backwards building goal setting. So if you have any questions or would like further information on some of the information I've shared today, I'd really like to encourage you to contact me through my website, which is www.thepassionmotivator.com, or by email at coachcaroldavies@gmail.com. I'd love to hear from you. Remember, you can change your life at any time and become the success you want to be. I do look forward to connecting with you again next week. Bye now.
Tune in every Wednesday at 12 p.m. Eastern for Only the Best for You with Carol Davies on Global Voice Radio.